as to go along with our thesis statement, of course, we need to lead to that thesis statement with an introduction. Now, this is where the real beginning of your paper will start, but one of the things I like to suggest to students is to start by creating the thesis, because really that's the main argument or thrust of your paper, and it also helps you sometimes get past the whole issue of I don't know how to get started. Well, if you have a thesis statement and you know that you can create that pretty easily, or at least a working version, then you can always then figure out how far do I need to back up so that to lead my audience to it. And usually you just need about 3, 4, maybe 5 sentences max. Okay, so I've got a little thing here talking about this introduction, and of course people do consider, and this is a quote from the North Carolina Writing Center at the University of North Carolina, one of the most difficult parts of a paper to write. Usually when you sit down and respond to an assignment, you have at least some sense of what you want to say in the body of your paper, but your introduction and your conclusion act as the bridges that transport your readers from their own lives to the place of your, in this case, analysis. That's good. Okay. Now, there are a couple ways, and there's some strategies for the most effective ways of writing an introduction. First of all, you can start by thinking about the question or questions you're trying to answer. So you could rephrase your thesis statement as a question and use that as a way to back up, keeping in mind that you're ideally leading your audience to a point where they are engaging in an analysis of comic book. So how far do you need to back up? Something like a basic starting question could be something like, how profound can a comic book be? Aren't comic books for kids? Well, today, comic books could be for everybody. See, I could take a couple questions there, and I could actually work with that. Use a couple little questions, and then start off and be trying to lead me to some answers that I'm going to provide. I'm not going to have you write the introduction last, but you do get to decide on how general or broad you want your opening to be. How open do you need it to be? How far back do you need to generalize? Keep in mind that until you guys turn in a final draft, you can always rewrite this. So I've seen students who just leave the thesis statement there, or they write something for the assignment, but then in their paper they just have the thesis statement and they actually do construct the introduction last. And of course, you can always give a hook. Okay, we had the hook at the end of our papers last time, but you can do them with drawing them in. So I tried that out a little bit here. So deciding how general or broad, I take a nice little triangle and I flip it upside down because that's a good way of looking at a deductive argument scenario. That specific thesis statement is the end, and backing up is a way for us to widen up just how broad or how much do we need to back up and be less specific and very generalized in our knowledge base. Okay. Go through a few more points here. And then I try to work out something here. Okay. I tried to form a little bit of a pyramid, and I have it laid out here in a very simple line version, but I tried to come up with a simple introduction, and my thesis statement was by closely analyzing Superman, the character, one can see how he remains relevant today, even 75 years after his creation. So, okay, so I know I'm talking about Superman, the character in this case, and that he's relevant. So I back up. So what do you really know about Superman? We think we know what he is about, right? Well, Superman used to be important to America. Is he still important? Now, this isn't my best work, okay? But it's just something simple. All I did was back up to a general question that somebody would say. I could also say today, everybody knows who Superman is, right? Or I could even just make that a statement. Everybody knows who Superman, but do you really know what his significance is? A lot of people seem to think that he's kind of irrelevant today. Well, maybe he's more relevant than they think. Thesis. See? Just a few simple sentences, okay? And that's all you're going to do, and I want you to try and give it a try as part of your discussion forum for this week, one of your discussion forum 2. I'd like you to specifically give yourself an attempt to try. Start with a thesis that we have in the previous video, and then construct an introduction to lead us to that thesis. And I think that will put us on good footing to then be into digging into the comic book more, creating our summary, doing the analysis, the evaluation, conclusion, and so forth from there out.